Coming.
It was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on February 8, 2019. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspapers posted on public bulletin boards and the Township website.
Thank you. At this time, please silence or turn off your cell phones, and council members that would like to may relinquish their cell phones.
It's heavy.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Here.
Councilwoman Ponterero. Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilman Mumolo.
Here.
Councilman Halloran.
Here.
Vice President Crate.
Here.
President Zapsik.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, please, would everyone please stand for a salute to the flag and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 25th and July 19th meetings? Oh, I'm sorry, July 9th meetings.
Make a
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, second by Councilman Fosman. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Abstain.
Vice President Crate.
Yes to June 25th, abstain July 9th.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Consent agenda. Madam Clerk.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you.
Council President, I noticed 416 and 417 are below, it says end of consent agenda. They're sitting below that. Are they considered separately?
Correct.
Okay, and Council President, before we begin the resolutions, I'd like to add a resolution to this list here. If you would, I can read it right for you right here. It says, my resolution says, resolution of the Township of Brick, New Jersey, opposing New Jersey becoming a sanctuary state and resolving that the Township of Brick never becomes a sanctuary city. Whereas Governor Phil Murphy declared that New Jersey should be a sanctuary state for illegal immigrants, even those who have committed serious crimes in addition to illegal entry into our country. Whereas Governor Murphy appointed Attorney General Gruber Grewal issued a so-called Immigration Trust Directive that severely limits state, county, and local law enforcement from cooperating with federal ICE agents. Whereas Governor Murphy and the New Jersey legislation have enacted policies providing millions of dollars taxpayers-funded benefits such as free legal services and tuition assistance to illegal immigrants. Whereas the Township of Brick opposes New Jersey becoming a sanctuary state and declares it will never become one. Whereas the Township of Brick supports a recent action by the Ocean County Board of Chosen Freeholders to file a federal lawsuit challenging Governor Murphy's and Attorney General Grewal's directive and the limits it places on local law enforcement from continuing to cooperate with ICE. Whereas the governing body of the Township of Brick urges Governor Phil Murphy and Attorney General Grewal to repeal their sanctuary state directive and reverse their position with regard to the New Jersey becoming a sanctuary state immediately. Would you please place this on the agenda?
Actually, I have a question. Mr. Starkey, did your firm prepare this resolution?
I'm not aware of it.
Okay. And this is typically, an action like this would be prepared by your firm, so we make sure that everything is vetted properly?
The resolutions like that, I think, always get prepared by my firm, but I don't know what this one is.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Is there a
President.
motion on the floor to put this on the agenda?
I didn't make a motion to put it on the agenda.
Is there-
Mr. Starkey, could you review this now?
Madam
That's not the normal
President,
order of
I'll take a look
business.
at it after the meeting.
Madam President, we get this on Friday afternoon. I would like, if anything of that's coming on, I want more time, not thrown at my, here tonight to vote on it.
Okay.
You should have brought that on, you get your package on Friday afternoon.
I am directing,
You could have brought it
talk to the
Friday
council
afternoon
president.
and sent it out.
So talk to the council president.
I'm
That's who you're
talking to you,
to.
Councilman. You're the one
Council
that
You could
President,
have
I'd like to
asked,
make-
we've had two
I-
2 weeks since the last meeting, Councilman Fosman. You could have emailed me and to let me
You're
know you wanted
politicking.
something on the
Okay,
agenda.
showboat.
I
This
would
is
like
not
to
the
make a
regular order
motion.
of our
I would
business.
like to make a motion to put this on the agenda.
Is there a second to put it on tonight's agenda?
No, I'd just like to say that far-left Democratic politicians
Here we go,
ignore laws
politics
that
is like,
This is not,
This is not the time for that. Save it for your council comments. Madam Clerk, 4-1.
Authorize receipt of bids, liquid de-icing agent.
Council Vice President Creighton.
This resolution authorizes the receipt of bids for liquid de-icing agent. The township receives bids annually for liquid de-icing agent as needed on township roads throughout the winter. We spent $25,000 during the current year contract period, which will expire on September 26, 2019, with Reed System, Ellenville, New York.
Thank you. Resolution 4-2.
Authorize award of bid resurfacing and drainage improvements Markham Road and Whittam Street.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you. This resolution is going to authorize the award of bid for the resurfacing and drainage improvements on Markham Road and Whitman Street, and it's going to Earl Asphalt Company in Farmingdale. The amount of their bid was $564,913.13. Just so everybody knows the backup, so bid notices were sent to 65 prospective bidders from our bidders list. 11 of them picked up the actual bid packages. 4 of them submitted bids, and the prices ranged from the low of the $564,913.13 that I just said from Earl, all the way up to $801,165.50. The work is going to consist of roadway milling and resurfacing, replacement and reconstruction of the ADA curb ramps, retrofitting the storm water inlets, and that they're going to meet current New Jersey stormwater standards. And that's going to be Markham Road, Vaughn Court, Bryant Road, Whitman Street, Holmes Court, and Poe Road.
Thank you.
That's all in Greenbrier 1, if anybody doesn't know where that is.
Thank you. Resolution 4-3.
Authorize award of bid uniforms for various departments.
Thank you. Council Vice President Creighton.
Yes, this resolution authorizes the award of bid for uniforms for various departments. Bid notices were sent to 29 prospective bidders from our bidders list, and 9 picked up bid packages. 2 bids were submitted. These 2 bids were reviewed, and it is recommended that we award to both bidders on per-item basis as determined by the lowest price. They are Dot Designing in Monroe Township and Keyport Army and Navy in Brick. This will be a 2-year contract commencing on July 24th, 2019, and ending July 23rd, 2021. This is a unit price bid not to exceed $30,000 per year, with funds to be certified prior to each order, and will be funded through the roads and uniforms, maintenance of parks uniforms, code enforcement uniforms, recreation uniforms, and police uniform budgets.
Thank you. Resolution 4-4.
Authorize award of bid rental and laundry of Public Works uniforms, rental of floor mats, rags, and fender covers.
Thank you. Vice President Creighton, please.
This resolution authorizes award of bid for bid or rental and laundry of Public Works uniforms, rental of floor mats, rags, and fender covers. Bid notices were sent to 24 prospective bidders from our bidders list, and 6 picked up bid packages. 1 bid was received, being American Wear Inc., East Orange. It is recommended that we award the bid to the lowest responsible bidder. The term of this contract will be 3 years, commencing on July 24th, 2019, and concluding on July 23rd, 2022. This is a unit price not to exceed $40,000 per year, with funds to be certified prior to each purchase, and will be charged to the Buildings and Grounds uniforms line item.
Thank you. Resolution 4-5.
Authorize renewal of contract year 3 through 5 for EMS billing and collections.
Thank you. Mrs. Bergen?
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the renewal of year 3 through 5 of a contract originally awarded in June of 2017 to DM Medical Billings LLC in Gibbsboro, New Jersey. Years 3 through 5 were to be renewed pending the successful completion of the previous year's agreement. The Deputy Director of EMS has been recommended we renew the contract and concurs the agreement for previous years has been successfully completed. The contract will commence on July 1st, 2019, and end on June 20th, 2022. In 2017, under the previous vendor, the township collected $1.7 million with a commission rate of 9%. In 2018, DM Medical Billing collected $1.9 million with a commission rate of 5.75%.
Thank you. Resolution 49.
Authorize change order number 1, final Bernard J. Cook Park Improvements Project.
Thank you. Councilwoman Dean.
Yes, thank you. This resolution authorizes a change order decrease in the amount of $24,243.20 to the contract awarded to Precise Construction, Inc. of Freehold for the improvements to Bernie Cook Park. The contract is therefore decreased from $1,613,668 to $1,589,424.80. The closeout change order reflects a decrease in the original contract quantities.
Thank you. Resolution 47.
Authorize change order number 1, final new storage building at Drum Point Sports Complex.
Thank you. Councilwoman Dean.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes a change order decrease in the amount of $10,014 to the contract awarded to Dutchman Contracting, LLC, Reinholds, Pennsylvania, for the construction of a new storage building at the Drum Point Sports Complex. The contract is therefore decreased from $354,668 to $344,644.
Thank you. Resolution 48.
Authorize 2019-2020 plenary retail consumption liquor license for leasing.
Thank you. Councilman Halloran, please.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the renewal of the plenary retail consumption liquor license issued to FRIT Leasing for the 2019-2020 licensing year. Because the license was in the inactive status for 2 renewal cycles, a special ruling from the ABC was required and has been received by the clerk. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 49.
Authorize reappointment of municipal court judge.
Councilman Mumolo, please.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the reappointment of the municipal court judge. Mayor Ducey has nominated Joseph D. Grisanti to the office of judge of the municipal court of the Township of Brick for a term of 3 years, which shall commence as of August 22nd, 2019, and shall expire August 21st, 2022. Thank you.
Resolution 410.
Authorize settlement New Orchard Investments LLC versus the Township of Brick et al.
Thank you. Mr. Starkey?
This will authorize the settlement of a lawsuit that's entitled New Orchard Investment versus Township of Brick. This lawsuit is essentially a dispute between 5 neighbors in the Cedarcroft section of town over access to a bulkhead. The township was included because it has a drainage easement. There is no money being paid by the township, no money being received by the township, and the township is retaining its drainage easement. So I recommend the approval of this settlement.
Thank you. Resolution 411.
Authorize placement of tax liens for property cleanups.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the placement of tax liens at 30 Cardinal Avenue in the amount of $71.49, 752 Midstreams Road in the amount of $71.49, 28 Adams Drive in the amount of $71.49, 109 Adams Drive in the amount of $337.03, and 110 Stephen Road in the amount of $68.15. I asked for and received the code violations on these properties and information about the status of the properties. 2 of them are bank-owned. The other 3 have been sold multiple times at tax sale. Resolution 412.
Authorize special events permit Operation Rocket.
Thank you. Councilman Halloran.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes a special events permit for Operation Rocket from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on September 21 at the VFW on Adamston Road. This annual event is held to raise awareness of the 22 daily veteran suicides by rucking 22 kilometers starting and finishing at the VFW post 8867.
Thank you. Resolution 413.
Authorize special events permits Beach to Bay 5K.
Thank you. Councilman Mumolo, please.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes a special events permit for the Jersey Shore Animal Center's 8th Annual Beach to Bay 5K from 7 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on October 5th, starting and finishing at Brick Beach 3.
Thank you. Resolution 414, bond releases and reductions. Madam Clerk.
Yes, 414A is a performance bond release for Shore Acres Yacht Club on Drum Point Road. It authorizes the release of the performance bond in the amount of $6,035.40 and the letter of credit in the amount of $54,318.56. 414B is an inspection fund release to Melwood Contracting Corp. It authorizes the release of the inspection fund posted by Melwood Contracting Corp. For the Wells Fargo on Van Zyl Road in the amount of $774.52. 414C, inspection fund release for Seashore Surgical Institution on Jack Martin Boulevard. This resolution authorizes the release of the inspection funds posted by Seashore Surgical Institute on Jack Martin Boulevard in the amount of $177.56. 414D is an inspection fund release for Lorenzo's Outdoor Service on Jack Martin Boulevard. It authorizes the release of the inspection fund posted by Lorenzo's Outdoor Service for Laurelton Property LLC on Jack Martin Boulevard in the amount of $712.60.
Thank you. Resolution 415, tax collector, Mrs. Bergen.
Thank you. 415A, 100% widow of DAV refund and cancel taxes for Block 380.15, Lot 15, in the amount of $795.94. 415B, 100% DAV refund and cancel taxes for Block 1192.30, Lot 2, in the amount of $1,993.86.
Thank you. That ends the consent agenda. May I have a motion and a second to close the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, second by Councilman Halloran. Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions or comments on the consent agenda. Mr. Sluka.
John Sluka, 950. John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. I have a few. Receipt of bids for this liquid de-icer. Did I hear $25,000 what we had last year? Is that the, what did I?
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Was that $25,000 we paid last year? What did we pay?
Last year, it's 25,000. Yeah,
For 2 years,
The 2-year
25,000?
contract.
Okay.
During the current 2-year contract, yes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what I heard. Okay, thank you. The other one is 6 and 7. It says authorize 6 and 7. Yeah. Actually, we got a little less money. We had to pay out for Bernie Cook Park and this other place. Why? Are they working smarter, or are they not doing something?
Comments that the closeout change order reflects a decrease in the
Quantities.
original contract quantities.
Means you put less in it,
It means less.
or less money.
No, well, less money is less quantity, so maybe you thought there was an estimate on a certain amount of rock or a certain amount of dirt.
Oh, like in Bernie Cook,
Asphalt.
that asphalt or
Right.
something. That's the quantity. I didn't know what the quantity meant.
So we
That's
had
really what.
lesser
Okay.
of any one of the contract quantities.
Okay. So that's why they reduced it. It's nice to reduce. The old thing, well, I would love to see Mr. Fosman's thing go to the right way, go to the council and have it on the agenda for next, what the process has to be fast enough to be able to do it in 2 weeks, I would think, to get it on and vote on that as part of the consent agenda next time. I don't know how long these things take. Sometimes government moves super slow. I would like to see it on for the next meeting to get voted on. And it's not exact, I'm sure the wording would change and everything else. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Call?
Nan Call, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. I have voiced my opinion and that I have serious issues with how the consent agenda is handled, how meetings in general, the order of business is handled. And in fact, I would like to tell everyone, usually I keep everything secret. But 2 days after the last council meeting, partially to do with what happened at the council and how the meeting was handled, partially from having my television tuned to a cable news station on which the demonic rats of the federal government were really obnoxious and got me, oh, do you find that funny, Councilwoman DeYoung? That's nice. I'm glad you do, because I wound up going to the emergency department and spending the night there, and the following day I spent on the medical floor and the night there, and then had an MRA, which showed that it's not from my brain. It's from being very upset, emotionally upset with how this town, country and state and country are being run. And it's not for us people. The next meeting, I would like the township attorney to be prepared to give the authorizing statute for handling a consent agenda, what goes in, what doesn't go in, and the establishment clause also for doing it, and have the Open Records Meeting Act and read it and tell me where it says you should not be eliciting input from the people. Now, as to Councilman Fosman's, no, it doesn't belong as part of a consent agenda and under any circumstances. And I just hope that I don't wind up with the same problem I had 2 days after the last meeting, because I'm already so angry with people on the council that are fighting with one another because you disagree and don't know how to debate an issue. You also don't hold a caucus meeting. So don't tell me or to the audience, tell us in general, that he had since Friday or since the last meeting, have a caucus meeting 1 week, and at that meeting, let anybody on the council who feels they want something added to it. That's basically what the caucus meeting really was meant to be, that you had an agenda, you looked it over, and at the caucus meeting, something might come out about a typo, something about a math problem, and you'd get it corrected before the following week when you had the actual meeting, except for during the summer. The consent agenda was instituted by the Republicans that you apparently so admire, as the Democrats so admire Mr. President Trump for how 16 people were in that original candidacy, and he stood aside from them as opposed to what they're doing now. So now, there are certain things that it is acceptable because there's really nothing to discuss or impart to us. For instance, the receipt of bids. The receipt of bids, that's one thing. But the following one, the authorizing of the bids, you owe us the ability to hear how, as Senator Loretta Weinberg, and I've read it here, has stated in writing to the newspaper years ago, that the Open Meetings Act demands that you discuss how you managed to come to your decision. How did all you people that are making this decision, which have already made it, you're not making it tonight, you're not making it as a result of Friday. I don't know when you got the information and absorbed it as a group to determine you were going to vote this way. I don't think that Councilman Fosman was included in it. Anything that says award of bids should not have been part of this consent agenda. And that should not be. Authorized bid? Even the renewal of contract, I could accept it being part of it, but I want more details than what was said. A lot more. The change orders should never have been part of this consent agenda. We, the people, have a right to say whether we think that park was done properly. And if it wasn't, the fact that it's being decreased may not be sufficient. Maybe we think it should have been a bigger decrease. The retail consumption license, much more discussion needs to take place about whether there should be at all. I remember when Councilman Underwood, who happened to be a Democrat, talked a lot about making money off of one-time deals on liquor licenses. The settlement of the investments, we deserve to know the full facts of that, not just a one-liner. Property cleanups, that's also something that I want to know about from the attorney. What is the enabling statute and clause that allows us to do this? And which ones got that done? They got the cleanup, and why do we not find another way? Or let us know before you actually do this that these are the people you plan to levy it and why. And when it's bank owned and there's no other alternative, let us know that. Is there something there that's more interesting than my words, Councilwoman DeYoung? Apparently. The demeanor of the council is another thing that's absolutely disgusting. The special events permits are usually something that is really very routine and nobody's going to go against it. So they could be on it. The bond releases. Now there's an interesting subject. When I first started coming here, and I've been coming here since 2001, it was Richard Gross, who may still be on the planning board and knows nothing about the statutes, ordinances, or anything else. Let's give him a test. Didn't know it then, doesn't know it now. Who started bringing me here, and our great Mayor Scarpelli, who tripled his salary and then wound up going to Fort Dix because of extortion, was mayor. And these releases of bond ordinances, it may have even been the same Richard Gross, who raised the point that he felt the people who live in those particular areas that took place, the clients, so to speak, of the various ones, should have a voice in whether things were done right. When I moved into Greenbrier 2, it had actually transitioned effective December 31st, 1988. I didn't move in, I didn't purchase my home, which I was never given proper documents, until August 2000, and moved in 2001. Excuse me.
How long is this going to go on?
As long as it takes. And that's not your call. It goes on as long as it takes.
Actually, in fact, our administrative code says 5 minutes. I've really been trying.
Not-
I have really
not
been
for
trying
this.
to give everyone
I
a little
want
bit
that
of leverage.
in writing to my house on the letter paper of the attorney and the township,
Be happy to.
because that is not true. What is the purpose of this meeting? Why are you holding it? Are you holding
So
it?
that everybody has an opportunity to speak, not just one or two
Everybody,
people.
but thoroughly.
Please, I'm trying to ask
That
respectfully.
business of 5 minutes was not in the code when I moved here and for many years. Get the previous code, previous to 2007 at least. And anything on here, it was, I believe, the same Richard Gross who had it put in that the boards of trustees for developments needed to sign off before they would release. So it's one thing in those years and a different thing now. One thing under Republicans, a different thing under Democrats. And first it was different thing under Democrats. the tax collector DAV refund and cancel taxes, I shouldn't have to know how and use my time to go online and find out who is the owner of these lots and lots that are getting this. It's public knowledge, and being a disabled American veteran doesn't impact it because it's there, but I have to spend a lot of time to find it. So for the next meeting, please justify how you, even if he had made it before Friday, known to you that he wanted to do this, that you can make this decision and send it to me, U.S. Postal Mail Service. Thank you, because I really am disgusted, and you have all lost my opinion of even the little bit of decency towards the people of this township.
Anyone else on the consent agenda? Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Before I give you my answer, Council President, I'm going to give you copies of the resolution to be placed on the next agenda on the next council meeting, and Mr. Starkey, I will leave one over here for you, a copy of it, with the clerk.
Yeah, I'll take it and look at it, but my understanding of the agenda process has always been that I know you have an agenda meeting on Thursday, I believe it is, and when it comes through my office, there's two ways it comes through my office. It either comes through administration, through the mayor administration, or through a council committee. That's the process for my firm to receive information, to draft resolutions and ordinances, and to put them on the agenda. I have never taken direction from a single council member, regardless of who it is. It always comes from either the administration or the council committees,
right.
which is why I think they've been established.
That's fine, Councilor. That's fine. Council President, I just want to know I left a copy there for you to be placed on the next agenda on the next council meeting. Okay? Thank you. And I vote yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 416.
Oh, shoot, sorry. I thought we were on the bills.
And we have two outside the consent agenda
416
tonight.
is authorized receipt of bids of plenary retail distribution license.
Thank you. Mayor Ducey?
Thank you. As some people may know, we have one plenary retail distribution liquor license that's available, and those are based upon populations. So next year they're doing a new census, and a lot of people think of our population may have gone down, may have not have gone down, so we may lose a liquor license if we don't sell it. We've had concerns in the past, back when I was on council, that the south end of town has a lot of liquor stores in that area, and some of the owners came out, I don't know if there's any here tonight, but some owners came out asking us not to sell one back then. We did, and it actually ended up in the south portion again, based upon the bidding. So with this one, we're going to come up with some different, we also want to fill up our, we have some empty storefronts left, and we want to have an opportunity to have redevelopment of those spots rather than somebody be able to buy the liquor license and then knock down trees, because nobody ever wants to see trees come down. So what we did is with this particular one is we're setting a number of different restrictions on it. So first, there's got to be a minimum bid of $575,000, and then they have to comply with the following restrictions. The premises shall be located in the northern part of the township, and so what we did is we defined that as the areas north of the Metedeconk River as it runs through Forge Pond. It's got to be located within a B3 zoning district. It's got to be located at least a half mile from any other property with an active plenary retail distribution license. This way that'll rest some concerns about those who hold them now. And it shall be in a vacant existing building, not new or proposed building, that's located within a shopping center. So with those restrictions and with that minimum bid of $575,000, hopefully we can get a sale of this last plenary retail distribution license that we have.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You have a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, second by Councilman Halloran. Open to council for questions or comments.
I see the last one sold, $575 is a good price for that license. I see the last one sold for less than that, so that's a good price. I like that price that's set for that.
Anyone else from council? Seeing none, close council. Open to public just on this resolution only. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 417.
Authorize execution of deed for letter of interpretation, Block 702, lots 30 and 31.
Mayor Ducey.
Thank you. So this is the Sports Dome Retail Center on Route 70, used to be known as the old Food Town site, now known as the future Sports Dome site. I did an update a couple weeks ago about what was necessary, which included the fact that the DOT was done, the planning board of Brick Township is done, the Ocean County soils, we're still waiting for a response. We haven't gotten that yet, unfortunately. The Ocean County Planning Board, we were waiting for a hearing. They had their hearing, and they're clearing up some issues after that hearing. The wetlands, that's a state department, so the letter of interpretation was submitted, and we're waiting for a response, and that's what this response is. And then we still need the application by the applicants to go before the MUA, and then when all that is done that I just said, then it goes before CAFRA, so we can finally get this thing built. I know I called it red tape, and it seems like red tape because it's all these hoops that you got to go through in order to get a sports dome in town, but that's what we have to do. So that's what we're doing. So it's going through individually, and this one's the wetlands, so it's part of the process to close on the property. The NJDEP requested the township execute a deed confirming properties determined to be wetlands and wetland buffer areas as designated on the former Food Town site. And basically what it is the wetlands are not on the buildable part, and so the DEP is asking us to file that deed down in, at the county, and that's what this resolution authorizes us to do if it gets voted on. Yes, affirmatively. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fosman, second by Councilman Halloran. Open to council for questions or comments. Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions or comments on this resolution. Seeing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Now we're on to bills.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $26,338,486.34.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, second by Vice President Crate. Open to council for questions or comments?
Council President, I have some
Yes.
questions. On page 7, it says Brightview Engineering, a traffic study on Route 88 and Jack Martin Boulevard. Does anybody know what?
Yep. That's so there's a telephone pole, if you're at the corner, if you're at the intersection, you want to make a left onto Jack Martin coming from 88, if you're to leave here. There's a telephone pole that's in the way, and everybody who passes by there, it's a huge telephone pole, it's got all sorts of dings on it, because everybody's mirror or cars hits this thing, because if you're making a left on the Jack Martin, there's not enough room to pass a car on the right, because of this huge telephone pole that's partially in the roadway, basically. So, we had a traffic study done in order to convince the DOT because Route 88 is a state highway. If it was ours roadway, we'd do this, but the DOT to move that telephone pole out of the way, back further on the shoulder, so that cars can safely pass, and it'll clear up traffic problem area that we have in town.
Thank you. Normally, the cost of changing that pole is about $50,000, so having the DOT do it would be great. 20. Grace Romero and Associates Councilman Mumolo is on there again. Is that for another tax appeal? I don't know.
Same one.
It'll be the same one.
Same one?
Same
Okay,
bill.
it was $134 before, now it's $198.
Councilman, I wasn't successful either.
And page 29. It's a repair at DPW garage doors. Is that I remember I talked about that before, that a vehicle looked like hit that door, and that was the cost of repairing it? It's the second one down. It's 19-01946.
The $3,666.83. Is that correct? Paid
Yeah.
for mercantile overhead door. That was to replace a door that was damaged in an accident. Correct.
An accident? Okay. And by the way, did we, you ever have I know we didn't have a public safety meeting, and I know you said that we're going to have an accident review committee you have, that you were going to bring it to the Public Works. Is that going to be public safety? You have an accident review committee. You just had it, right?
Yes, what I indicated, I would summarize the number of cases that they heard and if they were preventable, deemed preventable or non-preventable, which I have since provided and will continue to provide on a quarterly basis or as needed when the committee meets.
Okay, thank you. 42. It's just a standard alternative. That's our electric bill of $82,141. That's our monthly bill.
That is correct.
Okay. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else from council with questions?
No, thanks.
Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions or comments on the bill resolution. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumolo.
Abstain Meridian Occupational Health and Grace Mamero and Associates. Yes to the rest.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 419.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,774,979.10.
Thank you. Have a motion and a second, please.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, second by Councilman Fosman. Open to council for questions or comments on the manual bill resolution. Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions on the manual bill resolution. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are now at public comment. Madam Clerk.
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Who would like to? Mr. Sluka?
Good evening, John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. Letter dated July 15th. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority commissioners are killing our seniors. More and more studies agree that the pollution from air auto emissions are causing high level of ambient air pollution, which causes increased hospital admissions, more emergency room visits, increased mortality. This pollution, whose impacts have been exacerbated by the NJTA commissioners, cause chronic disease of respiratory tract infections such as pneumonia, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, Chronic bronchitis, asthma, and emphysema are the results of the NJTA Commissioner's assault on the people of Brick and Ocean County. If this scares you, well, it should. The commissioners are killing you, your parents, and your neighbors. Studies suggest that exposure to more than 50,000 cars a day is dangerous to the health of our seniors, and the New Jersey Turnpike Authority commissioners are proud to say that the Parkway through Brick Township handles 300,000 vehicles a day. Effective prevention is necessary to keep the elderly population in good health for as long as possible, but aging is a continuous process of progressive decline in the body's functions, leading to increased vulnerability, frailty, and sensitivity. The immune system undergoes alterations culminating in progressive deterioration in the ability to respond to infections and vaccinations, with consequent increases in morbidity and mortality due to diseases among the elderly. If you care for the elderly, a 14-foot wall, increased trees, and thick brush and other precautionary steps must be taken. Understanding that this threat started because of the ill-advised destruction of the environment near Evergreen Woods that was called an expansion of the Garden State Parkway, but through honest and thorough investigations, the threat is clearly visible, not only in Evergreen Woods, but in Greenbrier, Brick High, Birchwood Section, Cherrywood Estates, Primrose Gardens, and other areas. The time to ask all our government officials is to stand up with the people. It is time. With the people, and state what, if anything, you are actually doing for the seniors of the shore. I guess it's possible to say that the elderly had a good life and you can't stop progress, but it isn't the elderly that are only being impacted. What about our children and those children yet to be born? In order to get the council's attention, maybe we have to think of the studies relating to those yet to be born infants. Go to the library, which we honor each year here, and look up the studies that report a consistent association between levels of CO and particulate matter during the first trimester and the last 6 weeks of birth and the risk of preterm births. One study indicates high exposure to particulates during the first few weeks of pregnancy resulted in low birth rates. These toxins are most dangerous because basically they're so small they're inhaled in a period when the brain begins growing. Children born prematurely develop infant respiratory disease syndrome, gastrointestinal, and hematological diseases, central nervous system problems such as hearing loss, and more prone to infection and vision loss. Premature and low birth rates are norm. Exposure to vehicle air pollution has been noted as primary cause for infant mortality and morbidity and chronic diseases such as asthma in children and adults. Children exposed to car pollutants report higher respiratory problems, including wheezing, ear and throat infection, and asthma. Excessive school absences ultimately hurt the child's ability and decrease socializing with other children their age, and also often hurts them academically. It's foolhardy to think that people move to the area because our school system is better than those in other areas just for the disabled. Our school board tells us that 22% of the 8,600 school children are in special needs, and it's only foolish to believe that it's not at least partially involved in environmental factors brought about by the NJTA. The school board is suing the state for aid being reduced in schools, but so far we sit idly by and watch the lives of many of our residents be weakened by the same government and bureaucracy they appoint. It's time we sued for senior lives, for our children's health, and in general livelihood of our residents. Are we all just politicians, whether they're Democrat or Republican, who are basically ignored by the governor, or we will those that represent the people? The time will tell if our government works for the people or for Murphy, Sweeney, and others. Thanks for your time. I yield back 2 seconds.
Thank you. Who else? Ms. Jones, you had your hand up? Yes, please.
Roxanne Jones of the Laurelton section of Brick on West Princeton Avenue. Although Mr. Fosman's resolution has not been adopted, I believe that we should support it because, number one, accepting illegal aliens as a sanctuary town or a sanctuary state is violating federal law. And federal law trumps, no pun intended, and federal law trumps state laws all the time. Remember the case law of Loving versus the Commonwealth of Virginia. Once the Supreme Court ruled that interracial marriage was legal, then even though those laws were on the books, anti-interracial marriage laws were null and void. Henceforth, opposition to federal laws regarding immigration should be null and void, no matter who issues them under the cloak of law. Also, second, we have limited resources as it is. We all know this. We've experienced a terrible and unfair reduction in aid to brick schools. And yet, somehow, our state is expected to support so many new people who come in illegally, even giving them aid for their cases. Where's all this money going to come from? And of course, we already are facing high taxes with what to show for. No, we cannot be a violator of the federal immigration laws. We cannot afford to become a sanctuary town or a sanctuary state. Thank you.
Ms. Briggs.
Melanie Briggs. Just have a question for the council as a whole, president, vice president. When you open up for questions for the consent agenda, does that mean you're opening up for questions about what the weather's going to be tomorrow, why it was printed on this paper, why this font was used, or is it on the items that are listed on the agenda?
It's intended to be the items that are listed on the agenda.
Then
the
why are you
resolutions.
allowing certain people to get up here week after week and talk about things that have nothing to do with the agenda? To make their personal opinions and their personal comments primary. I'm going to request that every one of you watch a council meeting at home and see what it looks like. We are a laughing stock, as it's been mentioned by other people, because people like that get up here and use it for their own agenda. Now, I raise my hand as a point of order, which I've been told by the authority here, you do. So is it right or is it wrong? I don't want to listen to all the comments that should be in this portion. I could leave at this portion and not listen to it. I think it's got to stop. And I know nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings or anything else, but when it's annoying, it's against the rules, I feel it should be stopped. That's my opinion, and I'll get up every week and I will keep saying it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Finelli?
Vic Finelli, Meadow Point Drive. In Sunday's Asbury Park Press, there was an editorial called "More Fiscal Clouds Loom in New Jersey." Anybody read it? Oh, good. Then I'll share part of it with you. I won't read the whole thing. Governor Phil Murphy has made much of the fact that New Jersey's average tax increases for 2019 was lowest in years. Problem is, simply reducing the rate of increase hasn't been nearly enough to satisfy most overly wrought taxpayers. Sound familiar? I'm the overly wrought taxpayer. Worse, Murphy not only has failed to provide significant tax relief, he has done nothing to address the state's structural financial problems made worse by his refusal to do what is necessary to rein in public employee pensions and health benefits cost. We are one recession away from a fiscal disaster. It goes on to talk about the interest the arbitration, that the rule had stopped, things went to arbitration, the most they could get was 2%. That stopped right before he came into office, and he didn't renew that. So arbitration can go anywhere you want. You've heard me talk about the budgets. I understand the school budget is first, municipal budget is second, and the biggest part of the municipal budget is law enforcement. They did their homework. Again, we are the highest tax state in the country. It should be noted that the overwhelming majority of police in New Jersey are handsomely compensated. Median police salaries are second in the nation only to California. There's that tricky word median in there. And I've said before, what do you want the numbers to say? I'll make them say it depending on how I present them. This is the way they presented it. Median, as I'm sure you all know, means half of them are above and half are below. That's nice. The median could be 150,000. The half that are above could be at 160, and the half that are below could be 120. So really not, you could do averages, you could do the mode, you could do whatever. They're doing median, right? So they wanted to take it further and give an example of where these salaries are. Guess who they chose to talk about? Brick. Who's laughing? She's not. Don't take it personal. In Brick, 9 police officers make more than $170,000 in base pay, and more than 20% of this information might be a little old, more than 20% of the 132-person force draws annual paychecks of more than $150,000. I think we have more than 132 now, right? 140, is that about right? 140 is the number. Okay, so this might be a little stale, all right? About half make more than $130,000. Yada, 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 yada. Not included in those numbers are overtime, longevity pay, extra duty pay for traffic control, and other assorted wage sweeteners. Now, this is not me talking, this is the editorial from the Asbury Park Press. You are the people that have to fix these kind of things. You are the people that have to slow down the pay raises. You are the ones that have to look at the overall taxpayers and what's going on in the township. I just paid my quarterly tax bill this morning, so I'm not ready to go have my happy face. That's the way it is. We are one of the highest in the state, and we are the second highest in the country. I think everybody should get a fair wage. I don't think we have to be at the very top of anything. I don't think Brick is a really high crime area or anything else. You are the ones that have to fix that, and the way you fix that is when you negotiate contracts and you look at everything, and you look at the taxpayers and you look what's going on. That's it. One other thing, there was some discussion about Mr. Fosman brought up his ideas, and I guess you didn't want to put it on the agenda because the attorney has to look at it. Okay, fine. Does the township now have a policy? Are they going to follow this directive, or are they going to look at it, or what?
There's always been, since I've been here at least, the same process for putting the agenda together. And that is, there are items from the administration that go on the agenda, there are items from the council.
No, you missed my point. I understand what you're saying. I don't have a problem with it. If it's a legal thing and you have to okay it, that's fine. What I'm saying right now is the directive from the governor is that you don't cooperate with ICE. As of right now, does Brick have a policy? Are they going to follow that directive or not follow a directive, or are you going to talk about it?
I can tell you that the policy of the township is to follow the law. Is to follow the law. What the law is.
Okay. But other townships have chose not to. I mean, Ocean County, for one, has said, stick it in your ear, we're not doing that. Okay. So, right now, the Brick's policy is we're going to follow it?
Brick's policy is to follow the law. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. There's laws on immigration. And
Okay.
the township follows that. And I understand some of the
So the township is going to follow the state law, but it's not going to follow the federal law. Oh. I mean, from what I heard, they're in conflict.
No, I don't think there's a conflict as far as the township is concerned.
Okay.
Nothing has come to me that there's a conflict in our township following the conversion.
Okay. So the suggestion was that you people look at it and discuss it at the next meeting and decide whether you want to write this. Is that going to happen?
Council President decides if it goes on the agenda or not.
Okay. So I mentioned this last meeting, and I saw a prime example of it again tonight. I don't want you shooting down anybody's ideas just because of who they came from. Just like I come up here and talk a lot. I don't want you not listening to what I say just because it's me saying it, and I don't want you just not saying what he's saying because it came from him. All right?
I think you're mischaracterizing what happened. There's an orderly process.
I understand that.
Regardless of
I
who it
understand.
comes from, it is not, whether
All right.
it's Mr. Fosman, Mr. Romolo, anybody up here. The
Okay.
process is the same. It is not different for Mr. Fosman or for anyone else.
Okay. I see everything shut down, but I'm not talking about that. His idea came up, several people came up here and talked about this, all right? We all have the same concerns, right? I don't want to be killed with taxes and then find out that my tax money is going to illegal. And everybody up here used the word illegal. Nobody in the newspapers wants to say undocumented. You're illegal. I don't want my money going there. So what I'm looking for, at least this group right here, to look at what he's saying, and then talk about it, and then come up with the next meeting, which is 2 weeks away, and say, we're going to do this or we're not going to do this. Or we talked about it, we discussed it, because I want to know what the rest of the people think and what the township thinks, and they're going to send back this thing. I mean, I read the document that he read, okay? Sounds like it was written by a lawyer. Right? Probably was, and probably was copied from another town that did it. But, I mean, this is something where, you know, the people you represent come up here saying, this stinks, right? We don't want illegal people coming here. We don't want tax dollars being spent. We don't want money being put away so they can fight their cause. We don't want money being spent on colleges for illegal people. Because we're taking money away from the legal people. We're taking money away from the big schools. So what I'm looking for is at least a commitment that say, you're going to look at
Mr.
this, discuss it, and then maybe at the next meeting say yes or no.
Mr. Finelli, it's going to be entertained. If somebody brought something to you that you never discussed with anything, you'd vote on it without looking at it?
No. I'm not
Thank you. That's all
chastising
I'm
you for
asking.
what you did tonight.
But it'll be looked at, period.
Say it again.
It will be looked at.
Looked at and discussed. That's all I'm asking.
Right.
All right? That's all I'm asking. I
Don't
understand the
expect us to
policy,
vote
I
on
understand the
something. We can't-
legal, you want to do it.
I have to look at stuff before I vote, and I just don't
I
vote
don't have a
on it.
problem with that, Mr. Momolo. I don't have a problem with the attorney agreeing. I don't have a problem with you saying, we can't put that on because it's a legal document, or we just looked at Robert's rules, and you can put things on right now. I mean, somebody can bring up an idea, and you can put it on the agenda right now. We just checked that.
We did have a change on the agenda
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
and
I
it was-
understand
and it
if
was
it's a
done
legal
today.
document, you want it approved by the attorney. All I'm asking for, and I got my answer, is you're going to look at it, and I would like a response next meeting to say, we looked at it, we discussed it, we decided we're going to do it or we're not going to do it. Can I get that?
Yep.
Thank you. And I think as far as somebody mentioned the weather, did we get lucky this past week with the weather? How much a brick got damaged?
A lot.
Wait for the comments.
A lot. 15,444 people were out. 41% of the town.
Okay, they were without electricity.
Yeah.
But damage-wise, I'm asking, did we suffer a lot of damage, or just they were out of electricity? Because I just talked,
Trees down. Oh, you mean township property? We had some trees down. But we didn't have any flooding or anything because it didn't rain that much. It was wind.
so we didn't get flooded, we had a little damage, we didn't spend a lot of extra money doing cleanups and things like that?
We spent extra money on police officers directing traffic.
Traffic lights weren't
Traffic
working.
lights were out.
Okay.
Still,
Is the power up and running now? Is everything fixed?
It's down to under 2,000.
Okay.
They brought in 800 workers from out of state to help us out here. We were probably the worst town, second worst, maybe first or second worst town in Ocean County. We had the most people out of electricity. Trees are up people's personal properties. I know somebody personally who lost a tree in their backyard. Didn't hit anything, though.
Because I just talked to my friend in New Egypt, and they said they're telling them Friday, maybe.
That's originally what they told us was, and this is at 10 o'clock this morning, they said it would be 24 hours from then before they would announce how long people's power would be out. But then they also said in the same breath, and hopefully some people will be back this afternoon, this evening, tonight, this morning, so, which is what happened. So it went from 15,444 to under 2,000 the last check, but I haven't checked in, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Are you happy with the results?
Happy with the
From
results?
From the response you got from the utilities companies, because I know in the past it's been terrible.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I mean, people are upset because they're out of power, and obviously they're losing food, their AC, it's hot, and everything else. But they seem
Was it hot last week?
last week. Who cares about last week? Let's talk about last night. That's when people were out of power, and it wasn't as bad, but it was still it's still summer. So obviously it's in the 80s. It's hot. So we have a lot of elderly people in our town, and they don't like to be without their air conditioning. Obviously for health reasons. There's people in oxygen tanks around our town. All sorts of things like that everybody's impacted. We had people come into the VFW, to our senior center today, to be able to have their oxygen tanks there, be in the cool for a while and things like that. And I thought JCP&L did fairly good. I mean, I know a lot of people from other towns are more upset because Marlboro, I think, is going to be out till Friday, they say. But last I heard from that mayor, they were down to a couple thousand as well, from originally 8,000 or 9,000. They're smaller than us, but they had like 8,000 or 9,000 out. So good communication, although the communication wasn't super helpful. 24 hours until we know how long it'll be, because we don't know what the problem is. But at least they were communicating. There wasn't a lack of communication. It just they didn't have their own information until they got these extra 800 people that came in, and I think that number went up even higher since then because of problems in Monmouth County.
Okay.
Yep.
Just like to spread a little good news when there is good news. And when somebody did it, this storm
Still
was,
people are out. I'm sure they're not happy, but
well,
you know.
this storm was weird because I live at the end of Drum Point Road, and we had a little rain and a little wind, and the marina right behind your office there, the Manasquan Marina, where my son keeps his boat. Everybody has the canopies there, the things. One half of the marina is wiped out, the other half is fine, and that's like 300 feet across the parking lot. It's like a mess and no problem. Anyway, you were supplying air conditioning and places for people to go at the VFW. That's the way it works.
That's what happened for today, because people were calling. Got them. It's a good opportunity for them to get to the senior center, because a lot of them have never been there before, and to see all the different services that are there. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Thank you.
Anyone else from public? Ms. Call?
Nankal, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. Had I had the opportunity at the time of the consent agenda to voice the order of business, I have voiced it before. The government comments should come before ours so that we can respond. I suspect that one of the major topics you'll all be saying is about the problems with the storm. I'm going to go into that in a minute, but so that I don't run out of time, I am going to give the council president and town clerk a page that was in my bulletin 2 days ago for St. Dominic's Church about the solidarity of the faiths and a meeting they will have, a get-together they'll have on Sunday, August 18th. You can check somewhere in this township for somebody to give you the information. I have attended many meetings, but they were all held in, what's the name of that place? Civic Center, that we, the town, had to absorb that ill-conceived problem too. And as a member of an interested party, there was generally 5 or 6 members. There's a whole lot more listed, and now St. Dominic's is part of it. So I will give it to them to dispense to all of you. As far as the impact of the storm, I never conceived I would have grandchildren who would attend any part of a New Jersey public school system, but I do. In fact, the younger one will now, in September, join his older brother Ed Krista McAuliffe. I'm not sure whether the librarian recognizes who the older grandchild is, but he tells me he's quite admired by his teachers, and he thinks it's because he always tells them, "Have a good day," when he's leaving. That's my boy, Matthew. Shares my last name, in fact. And it is ironic that their father called me about 5 minutes before the storm to check on his mom and make sure I was safe. He also advised me how he told his children, 11 and 12, to be sure that if things got bad and he said the word, get into the bathroom, well, laundry room on the first floor, because he was afraid of a tornado and you're told to be in an insular place and there was no windows there or anything to worry about. However, he called me from his cell phone. I don't remember exactly. "Mom, do you have electricity?" I said, "Yes." He says, "We don't." And I said, "Unfortunately, I cannot invite you to come over here. And the reason is because Mayor Ducey, previous council, the engineering department of Brick, has refused to address the problems with the degradation of the grading on mine and other people's properties, and that's why Greenbrier and Greenbrier 2 have in places flooded, like the common property in my area. They hid the answer that Ken Schaefer passed to Alyssa Cummins before she was part of a township employee, and when she assured me as the complaining homeowner, I would get the answer. That was October of 2005. As of June of 2006, no, I actually started maybe April, at every council meeting to ask, when will I get the report I was promised? Now, Ken had shown me exactly where the problem was. But the flooding on the common property, which abuts mine and affects my basement, was never addressed and never handed to me. And Scott Pizarris was filling in as Scott McFadden was preparing to have the door hit him in the rear as he went out, if some of us had our way, to become president of Birdsall, and then to go on. I'm not sure. Anyone know where Scott is these days? Is he in jail? I know the latest thing was he was up on serious charges, and it looked like he might go away. He would at least suffer some censure. I never got it. At the time that Ken Schaefer visited and saw what was happening in my basement, water was coming in one part of the wall on one side. And the flooding is so bad that now, when it rains, it's not just that. That wall is almost completely crumpled. The one across the back is now going, and now the indoor-outdoor carpeting shows that the water is seeping up. It's not coming from that. It's coming because there is no drainage. So I'd like to ask Councilman Mumolo if he had an attorney handle his tax appeals or handling them.
No, I did it myself.
Okay. I was going to ask you to tell me who your attorney was, because I'm going to have to do another tax appeal. I went to the mayor when he had his in and out meetings with pictures of how it looked then. It's worse now. The flooding in the common area is extremely worse. And the tree behind the house across from me didn't fortunately come down. There are new people there, and the person before that should have seen to it that it never reached above the height of the house. So the town is doing nothing for us. I think it's time for us to go to the governor and lieutenant governor who took the place, in effect, of a public advocate and get action.
Anyone else from public? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Jason Carey, 233 Cherry Quay Road. I forgot she's short, or I'm tall. You hear me? I got a citation in the mail not too long ago from code enforcement, and I didn't know the law at the time, but my property's not enforceable. I don't face the roadway. No part of my property touches the roadway. I'm 350 feet back on an easement. The violation's not even on my property, but somehow this code enforcement officer decided to write me a citation for $2,000 a day for a tire that I pulled out of the woods as litter. I do a lot of litter pickup in the township. In fact, I did 3 runs to the dump today on loose branches that were in the roadway. I do that for my town because I love my town. Today was a tough day because I had to also run a generator out to a sanctuary that was losing its chicks that were just day-old chicks, and now they're freezing to death because they don't have any heat. I know it seemed warm, but to a chick, they want about 101 degrees, 105 degrees. They're comfortable at that temperature. I went down to code enforcement. I tried to, explain it to them that, you're ignoring 15 violations on the way to my house. You didn't receive a phone call, but you're looking down a 300-foot driveway and you see a tire sitting there, and you write me a $2,000 a day violation on a piece of property that's not mine, and my property is not enforceable according to your rules of it has to face the roadway. I'm thinking, well, why would he do this? Well, it was probably my neighbor that called him and complained about the tire. She doesn't know the rule. But why are they enforcing a law that doesn't even exist? And why are they going to Lake Riviera and telling a disabled vet that he has wood in his side yard, again, $2,000 a day if he doesn't clean it up? This guy's a disabled vet. He served our country. He can hardly walk now, and you're going to give him a fine for $2,000 a day because some contractor did shoddy work for him and he got fired, called a complaint in against the vet, and now you're going to threaten him with a ticket because he's got firewood in his side yard? The side yard's not enforceable. You can only enforce the front. He didn't know that at the time, so he had me pick up his firewood and bring it to the backyard. A friend of mine helped me. We did it in about 10 or 15 minutes, and it all got done. But why is code enforcement enforcing rules when they're blatantly ignoring 16 violations before he gets to my house and another 20 by the end of Cherry Quay Road? Seagoing had a jet ski sitting there for 7 years, filled with water, mosquito-ridden every single summer. The guy lets his dog crap on the first beach of Cherry Quay until I actually had to call code enforcement and the health department on the guy to keep him from dumping his dog feces on the beach. I cleaned that beach up. I cleaned it up this year. I took out 7,000 pounds of debris and garbage off the beach. That's not a public beach. I believe Bricktown owns it. But at the same time, why are we ignoring these blatant violations and then coming after me? Well, I'm not even enforceable. You have nothing to say to me. The code enforcement can't say anything about anything on my property. It's my property. I don't care if my neighbor doesn't like it. She built a wall to keep her from seeing my property. For years we were friends. Now we're not because Brick Police fails to enforce a law where her son flipped his truck on Cherry Quay Road doing 80 miles an hour 4 times legally over the drunken speed limit, but the chief's son thinks that it's okay to just let him go home and, sober up. That's a crime. When you hide evidence like throwing vodka bottles in the bushes, that's a crime. That's tampering with evidence. I talked to your lieutenant about this, and he doesn't want to speak to me about it. That's insane. And the lieutenant does not drug test policemen when they crash their cars repeatedly. They don't get drug tested. They don't get alcohol tested for any reason. I have them on recording saying this. So at what point do we start enforcing laws? You said we're going to enforce laws. You said we're going to enforce laws. We're not enforcing them. We're selectively enforcing them on whoever doesn't kiss somebody's ass. I got 1:20, but I think that's all I had to say. You can answer it.
Yeah, I'll respond. Yeah, I can tell you this. Our code enforcement officers are very diligent in their efforts. You're right, they cannot get every single code violation in town.
I called for 6 months for that television that's sitting there. I left a message on every single person's telephone call. I spoke to them in person 3 times. They ignore it because he used to work for the township. You can't have the buddy system all the time. At some point, you have to break the buddy system of nepotism and start enforcing laws to protect citizens. It's breeding insects, it's breeding mosquitoes, and they're just ignoring it. It's not something that they're diligent in, it's something that they're selective in.
Well, I disagree that the motive you're imputing to these people, but I did want to address, you made some what I regard as very serious allegations against
It sure is.
police officers.
And I've
If
spoken to
you have
lieutenant
serious-
and internal.
And you can file a claim for that, but
I
I
have.
will tell you,
I've
our...
got the letter sitting
but-
there that says they're not going to do anything about it.
Well, no, our police don't operate that way. When serious allegations are brought to attention and they have merit, they are addressed
They do
every
have
single
merit. I
time.
was assaulted on the side of the street on videotape.
All right, sir, I'm not gonna debate that with you, but if you have a complaint like that, you can make it, and it will be
I did,
looked at.
and he ignored it.
Well, then I would conclude that there was no merit to it.
Well, there's plenty of merit. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Anyone else from the public? Seeing none, close public. Mrs. Bergen.
Nothing further, thank you.
Mayor?
I just want to talk on code enforcement, so it's complaint-based, so we don't have our code enforcement officers patrolling like police officers do. So you just make a complaint, they go out, they do their investigation, they issue violations. You're never going to hear about it because the violation goes to that person. So the complaining person is usually protected for obvious reasons. One neighbor is calling against another neighbor. They don't want to, code enforcement officer's not going to go out and say, oh yeah, your neighbor over here across the street's the one who complained about it, because then there's going to be all sorts of revenge, and we don't want that. We want people to get along. I deal, not as much as I used to, but I used to, probably 25% of my time was devoted to trying to resolve neighbor disputes when I first became mayor, and it was just people blowing leaves in front of other people's houses, people taking their dogs, excrement and throwing it over the fence. It was just crazy. There's not as much of that. I think neighbors have gotten along, and that's kind of where we went to the family values and be nice to each other and all that stuff that I think really Brick has really taken off with and done very well with, being kind to each other. But it is still complaint-based. Just the comments that are being made about township employees, it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. It should be, those types of complaints should need to be made directly to the proper authorities. To come here and try to disparage different officers, it's just not the right thing to do. It's not the right place to do it. You can go up here on a microphone and you're destroying somebody's reputation, and it's not fair because that person's not here to be able to respond. So that this isn't the venue for that. It shouldn't be done. I want to talk about some of the things that I went to. Brick Presbyterian Church has really done an awesome thing here in Brick. They have solar panels for their community center that they decided years ago that they wanted to have a community center. Since then, there's all sorts of Boy Scout groups, Girl Scout groups, Alcoholics Anonymous, all different groups that use that facility, and so their electric bills went up to about $2,900 a month because of that. Now they put solar panels, and their electric is now zero. So they have all these great community groups using their facility on Drum Point Road, and now because of solar panels, they're going to be not having to pay their electric bill any longer, which is a great thing. The Rotary did an awesome job with their Vest Fund and Safety Equipment Dance last Friday night. Nerds did a great job, and Mr. Finelli already had me talk about one. I had two other things I want to talk about. One was the whole power thing, but we covered that already in his comments, and the other was the sanctuary city thing. I just wanted to cover that rather than my mayor's comments than going back and forth. So sanctuary cities, I've checked with the chief on a number of occasions. He assured me nothing's different following the law of the country, law of the land. Brick is not a sanctuary city and will not be anytime as long as I'm here as mayor. It's not something that makes any sense. The people, they're illegals, so why would we give them sanctuary? It doesn't make any sense to do that. And obviously it doesn't make any sense. We have illegals that are getting free college, but at the same time, we have our state government that's taking away money from our elementary school, from our kindergartens, our first grade, our second grade, all the way up through high school. They're taking away millions and millions of dollars, but they're still starting these programs for free college for illegal citizens. So there's a lot of policies that don't make any sense. They're definitely not right for Brick Township. They're not right for me. And to me, this is definitely not a sanctuary city, and will not be. And it's you have to follow the federal law. That's what the laws are for. The law of the land. So. I don't know, it was a top issue that Mr. Finelli wanted to talk about. I didn't want to do it during his comment. I'd rather do it during mine, and that's pretty much it. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Starkey? No. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
I don't have anything, thank you.
Madam Secretary? Councilman Fosman?
Yes, first I'd like to talk about the resolution opposing New Jersey becoming sanctuary state. I see the mayor's for it, that's great, maybe it can be put on the next agenda. What I would like to say about it is the far-left Democratic politicians ignore laws that don't like, and they encourage reckless behavior. These politicians are also elected to uphold the Constitution of the United States and New Jersey. The idea of sanctuary state is about identity politics. This resolution is about public safety. When the governor's attorney general calls on sheriffs throughout the state to ignore federal immigration laws, and the governor and his foot soldiers rally around him, it creates an anarchy environment. State and local officials are not in any position to pick and choose which laws they will honor and which laws they will ignore. Law enforcement and public safety go hand in hand. Having an imposed sanctuary state is an insane policy and anti-American. Make no mistake, this is not about legal immigration. What it is about is illegal immigration. My father and my wife's parents came to the United States through legal ports of entry, and we're very proud to become legal American citizens. I ask this council tonight to vote on this resolution. This is about public safety, and Americans and national security come first. On September 11th, we will gather alongside the Angel of Anguish at Windward Beach in memory of those we lost on September 11th, 2001. Let's not forget that horrendous day. I back our law enforcement community and feel it is a totally reckless act to order them to protect illegals while putting their own lives in danger. This is about protecting both our community and the law enforcement officers. I am a proud American, and God bless America. So I hope that goes on for the next council meeting on the agenda. And more of my council comments are, as an elected official, I should have free access to municipal government. Last week, I was in a municipal building and attempted to ask the township planner a few questions. She quickly told me that she was not to speak with me, and that I needed to email the business administrator's assistants with questions. And if I wanted to speak with the department head, I would need to set an appointment through the assistant. Back when Mayor Dixie sat up here on the council with me, he told everyone how horrible it was that then Mayor Acropolis would not permit department heads to speak with council members. Now he's doing the same thing. I can't see how an elected representative of the people shouldn't be able to ask questions to department heads that pertain to township business. I feel if you sat down and asked the majority of our taxpayers explaining the situation, they would be outraged by it. Is the intention of this to be used as a political weapon, barring a council member from talking to department heads? I like to go directly to the department heads to get my answers to the questions I have. I was given 100% access before. Why is this just happening now?
Permitted to respond?
These are my
Yes,
these
yes.
are my comments. These are my council comments.
You asked
Thank you.
questions, though.
After Councilman
I was
Fosman
reported
finishes
last week.
After Councilman Fosman finishes his comments, Mrs. Bergen, yes, you may speak. Please continue.
I was reported last week. It was reported last week that 2 current and 2 former Brick Township Board of Education members, along with their campaign treasurer, all active local Democrats, are facing serious charges by the New Jersey Election Law Enforcement Commission with multiple campaign finance violations. The allegations against these Democrats include failure to disclose their campaign contributions and file mandatory reports, thereby leaving voters completely in the dark about how much money they were raising and who they were raising it from. Given that these individuals have the power to award multi-million-dollar contracts and dole out high-paying jobs with our money, Their inability to follow the law should concern every single taxpayer in Brick, no matter which party you belong to. Given the seriousness of these charges and clear violation of the public trust, tonight I am adding my voice to the growing chorus of residents asking the two current board members implicated in this mess to resign effective immediately and for a special election to be held to replace them. It is not fair to the Brick taxpayers, the educators, or school children for this ethical dark cloud to be hanging over our great school district. Those who did wrong must be held accountable for their actions. On a lighter note, last Friday, the Brick Township Rotary Club held their 35th annual Bulletproof Vest Fun Dance. It was a tremendous success as always. I attended along with my friends Vicky Chadwick, Max Flores, and Neil Napolitano, and we joined the Brick Township PBA Local 230 in thanking all donors for their support of our police officers. Lake Riviera held their first Neighborhood Watch meeting, and Greenbrier won another, and I attended both and spoke at both. On August 6th, the National Night Out Against Crime, Kids Day, and Touch a Truck will take place at Windward Beach at 6 o'clock. I'm happy that the Touch a Truck program that former Councilwoman Lydecker started will be held again. Lately, when I'm out and about, a few residents have approached me about what they can and cannot put in the recycling cans. In the past, when I was the Public Works Committee Chair, we made sure that lists of what could be put in the recycled cans were placed in reusable shopping bags and were handed out at the farmer's market and the Stop and Shop. Last time I checked, there were cases of those bags at Public Works. They should be available to Brick residents. I did call the county engineer for Greenbrier 1. I spoke to him today, and he informed me that there's a little delay, and we should have a report out within a month or 2 months. And another to our residents, I'm hoping all the electric comes back on for you. I know a lot of people are still in the dark in Brick, and I hope that gets resolved very soon. And I hope to see everybody all at Summerfest Thursday night. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Mrs. Bergen, I know you were away for 2 weeks. Did you want to comment on Councilman Fosman's remarks about the...
Certainly, yes, I thank you, appreciate the opportunity. So I speak on behalf of all the employees when I say we are always happy to assist council members, colleagues, all residents in any way possible. We go above and beyond every day in providing services to our folks. The department heads have brought a concern to me about their time not being well spent because without the courtesy of requesting an appointment or asking to speak, they have to stop what they're doing and try to provide documentation, and a lot of times it's a request for a project to be done. And these projects take up an enormous amount of time without an understanding of what it is that they're trying to accomplish. So they came to me as department heads that report to me and say, we need some assistance. We're not getting our work done. We're often stopped in the hallway or unexpectedly to provide documents or do research or do projects, and that became overwhelming in the scope of the work of their day. So my response was, provide what you can, answer what you can, and what's a project that's going to take time that you need more time to respond to, we can sit down and have a meeting and discuss that so that we better understand how to be diligent in responding and explain our ability to provide this information. In 1 2-week period, just from Councilman Fosman alone, I had questions on everything from commercial tax appeals to vacant storefronts, park maintenance, capital debt, Traders Cove Marina, debt service, profit and loss, solar expenses, senior staff in the New Jersey Transit bus, salaries and staff for township employees, full-time, seasonal, part-time, back several years, data on strip malls, accidents with township vehicles, lawsuits. That's 2 weeks. This is one email. This is the work it took to respond to one email. So they're asking for a little bit of courtesy and a little bit of assistance in trying to get the time that they need to understand what you want and to provide what you want without taking away from their primary duty, which is to serve the residents of the town.
And I still haven't received my answers to my emails.
Well, if this is what it takes to answer one, I hope you'd be prepared to be patient in responding to them. This is a lot of work.
It's been a month.
Okay, this is one email.
I asked for the lawsuits, and I still haven't got that, and it's been a
If it's a
month.
project that requires a lot of work, then patience will be required on your part for
Taxpayer
us to
dollars.
provide that.
I work
waste
for
of
the
money.
people out there. I'm sure they don't mind me getting information.
I never said anybody minded it.
Want to be transparent.
My answer was that they have an extensive amount of work on their plates as it is, and to stop their day for projects like this, we have to understand if that's the best way for them to spend their time. Anything you want can be Oprah'd and get within 5 days, but you're not asking for Oprahable documents. You're asking for people to take on projects. That's a lot of work.
If I open it, I'm going to get it quicker.
Then go ahead. But most of what you're asking for is not Oprahable. You're asking people to do projects, to put together data over a number of period of years.
I'd say from 2009 to now, all the lawsuits in town. And that's not too hard to do. I mean, that's in the computer. That's why we got the computer age.
That's your,
It's a project.
it is a project.
There's not a list.
not a
Oprah,
database.
if somebody requested that, the response would probably be, well, no such document exists. You have to go through the court filings, type in the Township of Brick, Brick Township, Brick Town, and that's a project that somebody would do online. You'd pay a research
All right, I'll
expert to
give
do
you
that.
some, give me it for the last 3 years. There you go. I'll give you a start with that. Well, give me what you have. For a month's time, you
And
have to
that
do
costs the
something.
taxpayers' money, because it's taxpayer dollars paying for employees to do this.
It
For
doesn't,
what reason?
what the mayor said is only part of the problem. A lot of these lawsuits, what the township is involved in, aren't all within our offices. They often go to the Ocean County Joint Insurance Fund for handling. They sometimes go to different attorneys'
Would
offices.
you like me to go to the Joint Insurance Fund? I'll go to that.
I did that. I did that when you made the request, and they're still working on the response. Their answer was,
I'll
this is...
call them tomorrow. It's not a problem. I'll call them.
Okay, you're going to get the same
Just
answer
like
that I
called-
got.
Just like I called the county engineer
not
to
a phone
find out
call
when
answer.
Greenbrier 1 was
And
going
you
to
got
get
the same
completed.
answer that I got. There's no different answer.
You never gave me an answer. All
I
you said,
did.
you gave me an answer
I
to
did.
call the county. That's what you did.
I
And I
gave you an
I
answer
emailed
which-
them and I called them. That's what I did. I didn't get a response from him because he said his emails were all backed up. He's backed up for 3 weeks on his emails. So he said to call him. And so I'm going to call him back in a month. see
And
what
I
he's got.
spoke to you directly with the answer that I got as well, and it was the same answer. That they don't have the report yet.
They don't have it. That's all you told me. They don't have it. You didn't say they're going to have it in 2 months. He told me in 2 months they should have it complete.
And if the Joint Insurance Fund charges us, I'd like to know what the charge is for Councilman's accusations and whatever he's fishing for.
The same fees they charge you when you do your bill your taxes.
Well, I'd like to
probably.
know that.
Councilwoman DeYoung, you have the floor for your council comments, please.
Thank you. I just want to clarify one thing. It was Council Vice President Crate who brought our DPW Touch-A-Truck last year to our National Kids Night Out. I have an update on Buy-in Brick. We have Flowers on Route 88 taking over Mr. Allen's and offering a 10% rebate on a minimum purchase of $20. Also, this evening, I spoke with Mariana's wife, Crystal, and of course, Mariana had something to say to everybody of why she has missed the last couple of council meetings. And Mariana wrote, unfortunately, due to the effects of the radiation I went through for my cancer treatments, I had to undergo another surgery to replace my jaw. I appreciate everyone's thoughts, prayers, and positivity, and I am recovering. I hope to see everyone soon. She also wanted to relay a heartfelt thankful to her council colleagues for their patience as she recovers, and she will be back serving as our public safety chair and as, of course, councilwoman to make Brick better. Mariana, everyone, I mean, if anyone knows Mariana, her favorite character is Wonder Woman, along with many, many others, but she truly is a Wonder Woman for what she has endured these last few years, along with her family. They are all warriors in her battle for cancer, and we just ask for everybody's positive thoughts and prayers. So thank you.
Councilman Mamalo.
First off, I was invited to go to Ocean Medical Center 35 years anniversary, which was really nice. A little warm that day. We had it outside, but they raised a nice flag, and they do a great job, and I know everybody up here is proud to have them as part of our community, a great hospital. Since I was elected, it's always been a policy that we go through administration when we're going to go down and talk to somebody, unless it's a quick, easy question. But if you want more information, it's always been that. This is nothing new. You're just politicking, which is a bunch of bull. And you call us far left. I do recall a couple of years ago, you and your wife at Bernie Sanders campaigns with Bernie stickers on. That's pretty far left. Now you switch to Republican because you need a job. Thank you. And that's all I have to say. Everyone have a great day.
I need no
I think I
job.
heard that tonight.
Councilman Halloran.
Thank you. I didn't think Brick had a problem with the knowing what our position was on immigration and illegal immigrants. Why Mr. Fosman has to bring it up and make something political out of it is beyond me. I also, this week, or last week, I guess it was, I attended the Neighborhood Watch over by Lake Riviera. It was very informative. If you have not been in attendance at any one of these meetings, Officer Barnes was extremely helpful in getting the audience to understand how important it is to, bond together and be aware of what goes on in your neighborhood. And some of the great information he imparted to the people there to train them and educate them as to how to maintain a safe neighborhood and a safe home. So I encourage anybody to attend some of those meetings. That's all I have.
Thank you. Vice President Crate.
Thank you. I have a couple of things. First, I have 2 library events that I'd like people to make note of. The first one takes place on Thursday, July 25th from 6:30 to 7:30, even though it's on our Summerfest night. Some people who don't attend Summerfest might be interested in going to see the Star Wars costumers. Those are the guys that show up also for our trunk or treat. But the library wants to welcome the guys and gals of the Star Wars costumers group that do charity events all over the world. They'll have photo ops, autographs, crafts, games, and giveaways. So please register each child individually if you plan on attending that, or adult, by the way, because I know a lot of adults are into Star Wars too. The second library event is the Summer Swing Band, taking place on Saturday, July 27th from 2 to 3. The Summer Swing Band Orchestra will be presenting a concert featuring swing and Dixie traditional jazz. Summer Swing Orchestra is proud to keep this magic alive, so enjoy the nostalgia, sing along, and dance in the aisles. The public librarian, we keep in touch with each other, and she likes to send out about every 2 weeks some of the events going on, and I love sharing that with you. So I hope anyone that's watching has a chance to attend these 2 events and many more. If you just go on the website, there's a ton listed. The second thing that I want to talk about is recycling. So I have been in touch with Trish Totaro as the chair of the DPW committee. I like to keep touch with her, and one of the things that I'd like to fill in everybody about tonight is our recycling numbers. So the total tonnage for 2019 from January to April was 2,454.74 tons of single-stream recycling. Now, last year for 2018, during that same time, it was 2,820.95 tons. Now, while the decrease may seem alarming to some, it's in fact due to the fact that we are really becoming more careful about the recycling that we take in. We really have a push to clean up the non-compliant materials that have been in our recycling containers and dumpsters, and that is due to the fact that Northern Ocean County Recycling are also strictly monitoring that recycling that's coming in as well, because what they're sending to China isn't, they have to be careful what they send to China. Let's put it that way. So if you went to the Green Fair, they had like a whole 30-minute or 20-minute presentation about why the recycling has become so strict. And we're making a lot of progress in educating and informing our residents and condo associations Each time there's something non-compliant in someone's recycling bin and it's caught, that person gets a letter with the paper that informs you about what you can and cannot recycle. And for those of you that would like one of those copies, there's always copies available at the DPW. I think we have some here in Town Hall. Pin it on your refrigerator. It's a great reference. I use it all the time. The second thing that I wanted to talk about with regard to DPW is I do value people's time, so I make a point to make an appointment whenever I want to see really cool things that we have to offer here in town. And the first couple of weeks ago, I made an appointment to check out our asphalt recycler. So I want to send a thank you out to TJ Venturino, Tom Hines, Mike Pretty, Darren Gissinger, and Kurt Gardner for taking the time to show me how the asphalt recycling works and how much money we're saving because we purchased this particular machine for the town. So just a little bit of news on that. We have had to order 0 cold patch this year. That's normally $150 a ton. So in January of 2019, we were able to create 41.5 tons of asphalt. In February, we had 47 tons of asphalt, and then in March, we had 59 tons of asphalt, with an approximate savings to the town of $22,000 because we were able to use that recycling. The other way that the asphalt recycler saves us money is that we use the stuff that we get up from the roads. I'm not very technical with these terms, but the guys are. But the stuff that we get up from the roads, from the potholes and stuff. Yeah, I know. They are able to. They don't have to have Ocean County take it away now, which was also a cost at $22 a ton, saving the town another $3,200. We save on fuel and manpower because we don't have to transport the old stuff. And the hot patch machine that we have now is creating a more permanent fix for a lot of the potholes around town instead of just cold patching everything. So I think I'm getting all this right. And the asphalt recycler can be used year-round for small trenches, paving around basin, and repair, different repairs, and also, of course, for potholes. So I was really excited to see it. I'm kind of a geek with stuff like that. I clearly do not know all the terminology, but I really enjoyed spending time with the DPW guys and really seeing what we're spending our money on and how it's making a difference to our town. So I appreciate that. And if you want to see some of the cool equipment that DPW has, I know it was mentioned already, but just a reminder, Kids Night Out is August 6th. They're going to have all the cool trucks and stuff parked there for the kids to climb on, and we got a little shortchange last year because the weather kind of rolled in early. So hopefully we have a good night, and I hope everyone comes out to check out some of our cool equipment and talk to our DPW guys because they're super nice and they really want what's best for the town, and I appreciate all that they do. So thanks so much and have a good night.
Thank you. So we have a number of cultural arts events coming up over the next few weeks. This weekend in particular is busy. We have both our adult and our theater, both our adult and our children's theater group active. This will be the second week of Guild Theater Works production of Jake's Women at the Cultural Arts Center. 7 p.m. on Friday, 7 p.m. on Saturday, and 2 p.m. on Sunday. And you can call 732-262-1006 to make a reservation. The Cultural Arts Center is very limited seating, so please do make a reservation if you plan to go. Also on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Brick Community Children's Theater will present Cinderella, the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical at the Strand Theater. 7:30 on Friday, Saturday at 2 and 7:30, and Sunday at 2. And you can find them online if you're interested in purchasing tickets for that show. There will actually be 2 Summerfests before we see you again here for a council meeting this Thursday, and also Monday, August 5th, which is the Makeup Summerfest from one of the 2 rain dates that we had canceled. And then on Wednesday, August 7th, our Traders Cove concert series starts with the Basso brothers. That concert is at 7 o'clock at Traders Cove Marina, and with a rain date of August 8th if the weather is inclement. And then finally, our interfaith group is holding a night of comedy called the Solidarity of Faiths with the interfaith comedian Bob Alper. It will be at Temple Beth Orr, and participating parishes are Temple Beth Shalom, Brook Presbyterian Congregation B'nai Israel, First Baptist Church of Laurelton, Living Faith Bible Church, Orthodox Christian Church of the Annunciation, St. Dominic's Parish Roman Catholic Church, St. Paul's United Methodist, St. Raphael's Episcopal Church, St. Thomas Lutheran Church, Temple Beth Or, Visitation Roman Catholic Church, and it also says on the flyer, Mayor Ducey will be attending as of July 6th. I haven't purchased my tickets yet, but I do plan to go. The date is Sunday, August 18th at 4 p.m. Tickets are $20 in advance, $25 at the door. It will be held at Temple Beth Or. And I hope to see as many of you there as possible. I think it's a great night out to celebrate our interfaith community here in Brick Township. Our next council meeting will be on Tuesday, August 13th. We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.